Today's episode of the Cantina is brought to you by Grow Generation. Whether you're at the Death Star or the Senate, they have everything you need to grow right where you are. More from them later in the episode.
Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the daily. No, I'm joking. I don't know why that almost happened. I said it 4 times this week for the first time in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that, guys. It's the Cantina. And for the first time in a few weeks, we are flying with a full crew on this awesome flying booze boat. I am Kyle Malone, one of the pilots here. Co-pilot is, of course, Cam Clark, and our trusted navigator, Shockey. Gentlemen, welcome back. What's up?
Good to be back.
Good to be back, yeah.
Glad to have you, Shockey.
Yeah, been a couple weeks now. Yeah.
And everyone out there, of course, we got our sponsors. You heard about them. They're at the beginning, Grow Generation. Please do take a moment. Notice the wonderful social media information down below. Check out Genreverse.com, LRMonline.com. We have an exciting new project dealing with the art of comics, and another project that Mike Shockey will probably fill us in on towards the end of the show. But definitely be subscribed to our YouTube channel, our podcast network, the Genreverse Podcast Network, all that good stuff. Share, subscribe, friends, yada yada. Guys, Star Wars news, big deals.
That's what we're here for, right?
Last week, yeah, I know,
yeah.
And
well, we just last time we talked, the biggest thing hadn't happened yet, had it? So
no, it happened over the weekend, which of course is the Anakin being in Ahsoka,
right.
Which is a big deal, and I've got a lot of strong feelings, and I'm just reaching for a notepad real quick, not for notes.
I thought you were going to say I'm just reaching for a gun.
No. I need to keep minutes, if you will, on to make the chapters for our for the YouTube channel. So I have a bit of a preface, if you will, for what we're about to discuss. People know that I've had some really strong opinions on nostalgia and where I would like to see Star Wars go, and a lot of those opinions are going to come out today. However, I wanted to preface that with, no matter how I feel about what they are doing versus what I would like, I of course hope that this is good. I hope that I enjoy it. I hope everything that they do is successful. However, as you'll hear, I would rather get the opportunity for different stories, and I really am starting to get almost heartbroken at having to spend my entire life between the Clone Wars and the original trilogy. It's getting frustrating, but that being said, Ahsoka is a show that is going to come out at some point, right, Shockey? We're expecting it, right?
So production is scheduled for what they call beginning of 2022. So Mandalorian season 3 is in production right now. So the guess is that Ahsoka will be the next one up. So could see anywhere.
We just found out recently that it wasn't shooting in Pinewood anytime soon. So can we maybe surmise at that it might be happening in LA then?
Yeah, I would assume. I'm pretty confident that it's not going to be in Pinewood. Because Rosario Dawson and both now Hayden Christensen both confirmed being in the project. They both live in California. It's the hop, skip, and jump away for them. That's where Lucasfilm is housed. That's where Filoni, who's the writer and going to, I'm assuming, pretty much direct most of the project. So
this one I would assume.
Yeah,
they're
going to be in the volume in California.
So everyone heard exactly what Shockey said, and it was talked about all weekend and all week, and that's Hayden Christensen's Anakin being in Ahsoka in some capacity, and this is after we know that he's in Obi-Wan for what looks to be like a big deal. My biggest issue, I guess we could just kind of start with that, so you guys can convince me that I'm wrong. Doesn't come necessarily from like this being a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, really, it just comes to the fact to where I'm like, okay, maybe we're trying to fix more stuff with the sequel trilogy, or maybe it's trying to connect more stuff from the not Clone Wars Rebels to Ahsoka and whatnot. Like I get that. However, it's again dealing with Skywalkers, the effects of Palpatine and his bullshit on Anakin and on into Luke and all of that. And while I get that, it's like, oh man, look at all the great things that Filoni was able to do for the Clone Wars to make the prequel trilogy better, which I'm going to say it's kind of crappy that all of the good, and I'll say good for people that like it, the good writing on the Clone Wars that didn't come from George, and the good acting, especially for voice acting, that wasn't Hayden Christensen, somehow gets attached to two movies that, without that series, most people will admit aren't that great. But that being said, I'm tired of being here. I don't want to fix more stuff. Like it's almost getting to like Ghostbusters point where it's like, obviously you can't recreate that magic. And every time you try, you have to go back to the drawing board and spend all this time to fix it, whether it's the prequels, Lucas's own opinion on the original trilogy, and now what appears to be a path towards making a more cohesive connection towards the sequel trilogy. And in all honesty, that's my biggest problem is I feel stuck here as a fan in these 30-year span between the Clone Wars and Jedi, and I just want to go see something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think I mean I'm a person who has faith in Filoni, and everything that he's done has either helped the Star Wars saga or gone in a different direction. I don't think we're getting, from what I know of Ahsoka, which is very little, because not much has been released out or anything, but I think we're thinking too simple when we're talking about, oh, Anakin's going to be in it, so there must be flashbacks, or it's going to be something to deal with Anakin Skywalker. Like, the premise of this show is Ahsoka searching for Thrawn, which will lead to Ezra. That's the core of the show. Do I think that Anakin will be, attached at the hip with, or to the storyline? No. My interpretation of what I know, and it's kind of, I think some people have already, theorized this, is that Ahsoka has a connection to the world between worlds from Star Wars Rebels, because she, when Ezra saves her from, being killed by Darth Vader, travels in there, and then she's kind of left. She goes back into, I forgot what planet, but we don't know what happened to her then. We still don't know what happened to Ahsoka post Rebels, where we last left off with her. And then Filoni does something at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, when it came out, and Rey's connected to the Force, and you hear all the, the past Jedi talking, and you hear Ahsoka's voice, and most assume that, okay, these are all of the dead Jedi. But then, Filoni came out and said that, oh, well, just because you hear her voice does not mean that that she's dead, kind of is that he did a drawing, a sketch, that's what it was. It was Ahsoka talking to Gandalf White or Gandalf the Grey, and saying, and people thought I was dead too. So what that tells me, and kind of an idea of it, is that I don't think that we're going to see the traditional story format that we're going to get. You know, I think flashbacks wise, with Hayden Christensen, is going to be Kenobi. That is what we're going to see more or less. I think with Ahsoka, Filoni being the one writing it, I think he's got a really good grasp of the Skywalker or the Star Wars saga, that I think he's going to do it with good taste and something different than what we are traditionally used to.
Yeah. Cam, what's your take on all of it, and your take on my kind of like disappointment in being here again?
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I kind of agree with Mike though, in terms of that this is about Ahsoka's story, and Ahsoka's story leads to Ezra and Thrawn. I don't think it's really about the Skywalkers in any way, but an important part of Ahsoka's development to me is that she has this big weight around her shoulders, which is what happened to Anakin. She's one of the few people that knows that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader, but what she does not know is that Luke Skywalker redeemed them. So I'm not going to lie and say that I like the whole world between worlds thing. So when Shockey's talking about that kind of scares me a little, because it's not exactly where I want to see Star Wars go. However, what I think
that's that whole thing that's in the background of her title card, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the kind of thing, you know. It's
that what
kind
we're
of been hinting at it right from the reveal. So, I mean, it depends what they do with it. Of course, I won't go into it with any preconceived ideas because I hope it's going to be good, and I've loved The Mandalorian so far. But that does worry me slightly. However, at the same time, what I think would be absolutely appropriate for that show would be, for example, a Force Ghost appearance from Anakin, who we know has the ability to manifest as a Force Ghost. And I know you won't like the fact that it's Hayden Christensen, but, you know, we can't bring
Lucas himself was wrong for that.
We can't
that one.
Bring Sebastian Shaw back.
No.
I mean, so that's sailed. So actually, where she's able to see that her master was able to come back to the light side, you know, I think would that actually be really important for Ahsoka's growth going forward, if that makes sense. So I think it would be a really cool moment to have that happen at some point. So that would be my hope for where we could see Anakin, you know, appearing, would be to speak to Ahsoka. And I know a lot of fans would be pissed off, why didn't he speak to Luke?
Right.
I agree with you. I've always said, to me, I always think that they were trying to keep away from the prequels. They thought the prequels were bad fruit, and they wanted to stay away from it.
Should be.
But they made worse fruit by not. Sometimes you have to double down, and they should have took it upon themselves to improve the aspects maybe that they didn't like as it went forward. One of the things that they should have done is the most poignant person to turn up and speak to Luke at his time of need, to me, would have been Anakin, the person that Luke himself brought back, that never lost faith in, you know. Or even both him and Yoda, if director Rian Johnson was so keen to have Yoda in there, why not do a double whammy and have them both? Obi-Wan might be a bit much because that's not how Luke remembered them. So you could just miss Obi-Wan out, but you could have had Anakin and Yoda. And even cooler would have been Anakin is the one that actually puts the lightning in the tree, because, you know, chosen one, you know, all that sort of stuff. And it might have been quite a nice connection into all that into the story. But we didn't get that. But just because we didn't get it with Luke doesn't mean it's not a good idea to have that with Ahsoka. You know, we shouldn't make the same mistake twice, is my opinion. Whether I don't know whether that happens. I don't know anything about Ahsoka at all, other than what anyone's read on the site that we've covered. So I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. It's just what I would like to see happen, and for myself. I
think my other concern is by, looking at a bigger picture of things, where you look at the Bad Batch and both leaked and in the show things that point to a heir to the Empire harvesting of story ideas. We know Luke's hand and clones stuff has appeared in comics, and we know that Grogu and Force Blood and stuff with clones is involved in Mandalorian. And we know that Thrawn was in the middle of all of that for the Heir to the Empire trilogy. So that's where, again, I go, sure, I get your guys' point. This could be the Ahsoka story, but it's 100%, or not 100%, sure, but it is very likely a stepping stone in that same broader story that appears to be there, which brings up the likelihood of having to tackle shit dealing with Palpatine's First Order because of Andy Serkis's news coming back to Star Wars, possibly, and no one knows what the role is, which I'm hoping for an alien doing mocap, but still.
I'm not even 100%. I know that's going on to a different story, but I'm not even 100% convinced that it's legit. That
right, and
I'm not saying the site's not good sources, but what they said themselves was apparently I don't think it was anybody that necessarily came out and said he's definitely in it. I get the feeling that he was filming the Batman at the same time as Andor was filming in London, and I just wonder if there's dots. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I've got that a little bit on the fence. Just to wait and see. I'm not totally sold on it yet. We'll kind of wait and see on that one, but it's possible. And if he is in it, I think it would be. I mean, of all the series for Snoke to show up in, the worst one, the most unbelievable one would be Andor. So I just don't buy that. To me, if he is in it, he's playing a completely different role.
At that same time, it's completely possible he does an alien bit in Andor mocap. Like I said, I'd love to see something unique that we haven't seen.
But it wouldn't be the same as Snoke, because
no. Hold on,
Gollum and Snoke.
But he could also then be doing something secret that hasn't been released that is related to Snoke that'll appear in Mandalorian. Because like I said, all I'm looking at is what they're using in that we've seen that's been announced, and then what they're obviously harvesting from Heir. And I could just connect the dots, and sure, it could go different, but man, I hope it's all good. I hope it is. I really do.
I can't sit here and say I don't think it's going to go that way, because there's too many signs pointing in that direction. So I have to agree with you that ultimately, I'm not saying necessarily Ahsoka itself goes that way, but
this is a Thrawn
this
thing
is connected to the Mandalorian, and there's more coming down the line. I get that.
I don't know.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because we can't erase the sequels. I don't like them. I don't really particularly ever watch them again. But is it possible that Filoni will make a good enough story leading up to them that it would make me go, actually, I'll give them another look, because he's filled in a lot of the gaps for me that I felt were missing, so I don't have that baggage in it now. I doubt it, because you still have to end it with the Rise of Skywalker, which is where things go pear-shaped for most fans, I think. But I mean, like somebody said the other day there, like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, they put, like, fans were polarised. What The Rise of Skywalker did was unite those fans together again, because no one liked it. Whether
That's
you
fun.
loved The Last Jedi or you hated it, no one liked The Rise of Skywalker, and it just bit off far more than it could chew. So maybe it's not going to make that a better movie, but maybe if they could build in some of the stuff that fits up to that point, why not? If the story leading up to it's good and I'm having a good time, I'm okay with it because I can't, erase the fact that those sequels exist and they're canon, and that's what actually happened in that period of time in the universe,
Yeah. Now, Shockey, what other thoughts do you have on Ahsoka's show potential things afterwards to wrap up this kind of topic?
I think Andor and Ahsoka are the two most secretive shows that Lucasfilm is trying to keep pretty much under wraps. I think Kenobi, pretty much, if you read enough and you go on Reddit enough, you can pretty much connect the dots of what the show is going to be about and how it's going to, basically. And
they've also announced far more for Obi-Wan as well, haven't they, Shockey, in terms of even officially the cast list and everything? They haven't done that for any of the other shows.
No, Book of Boba Fett they haven't done. Mando, they haven't made any casting announcements. Book of Boba Fett is interesting, but to go back to Ahsoka, I have kind of like I have confidence in it. I think this is going to be something that's going to be very different than what a traditional Star Wars show is going to be about. I think this is going to be heavy into the what Filoni was trying to go into with the Clone Wars in like season 5, season 6, where Yoda's on his travels and learning how to become one with the Force after death, and a lot of the differences between the Jedi and the Sith, and the kind of the clash between the two and the ideology, because Ahsoka's kind of in the middle. That she's that character that walked away from the Jedi but stays away from the Sith as well, and she kind of plays that balance in between. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that play out. And so, and ultimately, all of this is coming to a culminating event, through Mandalorian, to show kind of where the First Order is or how it's set up. So, Andy Serkis, I kind of with you, Cam. I don't know 100% if I believe that he's going to be an Andor. If he is, it's going to be 100% a different character than Snoke. But could he have gone there to Pinewood to shoot some scenes? And while doing other projects like the Batman and stuff, and knock that out for whether it's Mandalorian or other shows that they have lined up, then I definitely think so. It'd be really interesting to see that kind of beginning of Snoke, take over and rule the First Order.
Yeah, like I said, there's stories I want to enjoy it. I just at the end of the day, if you were like Kyle, here's this guaranteed fun story that will even make the sequel trilogy seem better, or you could take this 50-50 chance on a show set 500 years in the future. Right now, and part of it, I'll admit, is because of other things like Spider-Man No Way Home, things that we know about Multiverse of Madness, that I'm ready for different so much that even it's bleeding into Star Wars in a way that, like I said, I'm sad about it. You guys, like, I was mad at first, but then it was just really like, no, I'm sad because I feel like without people being willing to give this up, and that means us too. Like I told Cam on Slack, hindsight's 2020. I wish, God's honest truth, I wish none of the original 3 appeared in the Force Awakens. Force Awakens was 150 years in the future, and we got a Luke ghost cameo in the second one. I would have taken that, knowing that now, all day long. But that's that. That's.
I mean, that's the way it goes. And there's nothing to say that they won't do that jump 500 years in the future.
Yeah, I hope one day.
I just don't. I think there's room for that and this stuff as well. And in terms of the sort of Favreau, Filoni, that's just not where they're going with their stuff just now. And their stuff's been good so far. So let's just wait and see how it goes. If the next announcement, I mean, we know Rogue Squadron is coming. We don't know when it's set. Our guess, we all think post Rise of the Skywalker, right? That's our kind of best guess at the moment, but we don't know for certain. That could be the first step in us kind of getting something more in that period, but we don't know absolutely at all what's happening with Taika Waititi's movie or Kevin Feige's movie, which seem to be the next two on the docket. One of them could shoot 1,000 years in the past, one could shoot 1,000 years in the future. We just don't know. So we'll wait and see. If we get to that point where they've all revealed and still we're in that 50, 60 year timeline, I'll agree with you at that point and think, Jesus, we need to get out. We need to get out of this part of the universe.
Yeah. I hope the fans can understand. I'm on you guys' side. I really am. I want you guys to have good stories. I just think the better stories are elsewhere. But regardless, I hope we get
selfish fan.
Yeah,
every fan,
right?
You know?
Exactly. But regardless, I hope whatever we get is good, is entertaining, and at least keeps the franchise alive long enough to potentially get to more different. Yeah,
we will get there. Yeah.
What do you guys think about some of these casting calls for Ahsoka from the Illuminati there? Who wants to talk? Shockey, Cam wrote it.
I'll let Cam.
Yeah. I can talk about it. No worries at all. Just give me a second to bring it up. I wasn't sure exactly where we're going yet. So this is what the Illuminati said about sort of a new casting call that they had heard about for Ahsoka. According to our sources, the series is looking to cast a man in his 20s to play another lead character named Riz. Note a point. A lead character. Riz is described as a bit of a lone wolf, world-wise despite his young age and able to handle anything life throws his way. This character is listed as a series regular with options. Now, the outlet, the Illuminati themselves don't say this, but amongst the fan base, there's been a kind of a wonder at this point as, are they talking about Ezra Bridger? Is this actually a casting call for Ezra Bridger? Now, given that we revealed that Ezra's already been cast and that Mena Massoud had signed up, we're not going to go down that route because I don't see why they would have a casting call out for the position's been filled, if you like, as far as we're concerned, and we trust that information. We're going to stick with it. So I don't think it is Ezra as such. So. Who do we reckon? And is this just somebody brand new that they need for the show? Or?
Pretty much that is your best guess there. So like Lucasfilm, the way that when they do casting, when it's a pivotal character, they don't do casting calls. Mm-hmm. They have an idea of who they want, and they go after it. Now, could it be like 2 or 3 people? Yeah. So like when Ezra, being casted, they had 2 or 3 people in mind.
Yeah, there wouldn't have just been one person. No,
right, and they do the negotiations and get it through there. Now, when it's sometimes it's a pivotal character. So, for example, spoiler alert: if you haven't read anything about Kenobi or any news there, pretty much turn it off now.
Sorry.
But when it came to Kenobi, remember they did the casting call for the young girl and the young boy, and the young girl was assumed to be Leia, and as some people thought a young Luke as well on there. So can they do that? Yeah, but for this, I think we're getting a brand new character, somebody that I wouldn't say is pivotal to the show, but in a sense, it kind of...
And that's where casting call makes more sense, because you might not have a finalised idea of what that character's supposed to look like in your head yet. So you want to go through an open sort of casting process so you can see what does Riz... I'm sure Riz won't be the name of the character because they always use code names, but whoever this character is, we'll call this person Riz at the moment. Who looks like Riz to us? Who's the person that we pictured in our head? Whereas with Ezra, you already have a picture in your head because he's been in Rebels and you know his character and in an animated sense what he's supposed to look like. So it just...
There was never a casting call for Ahsoka. There was never a casting call for... the Mandalorian, for Din Djarin and stuff. Lucasfilm hasn't, basically a point person or a person of interest, and then they go through that negotiation.
Yeah. I mean,
process,
Marvel Studios, they look at how early Kevin Feige spoke to Kit Harington, which was
Mm-hmm.
a Marvel story we covered this week, over a year before he even heard about a film called Eternals. So no one had approached him about Eternals. He had a meeting while he was still filming Game of Thrones with Kevin Feige about plans that they had for him in Phase 4. And he was like, yeah, sounds good, I'm in. And then it was a year later before they come back to him and said, okay, this is the project you're coming in, first of all. And yet at the same time, it doesn't look as if he's got some multi-picture contract. It's a kind of, let's just see how it goes and play it from there. So, you know, it would be daft to think that Lucasfilm don't employ the same techniques as that, quite frankly.
I think this character is probably like the maybe the pilot. She's gonna have to be trying to get around somewhere. So someone on a ship. I don't know if it would be a pilot or a crew member. I don't know how her piloting skills are.
She can pilot. I mean,
or if she likes to.
Fought in the Clone Wars, you know, so she can pilot.
But not everyone. Just because you can means you want to. So
she doesn't have a ship that we know
that
of.
Is
so
what I'm thinking. What do you guys feel like? What they're describing to me sounds like someone on a ship or with a ship that she's going to be attached to or using. I don't know.
Sounds like a Han Solo type character almost, you know, someone lone wolf world-wise, someone that's maybe got a ship and that she gets in tow with, and then who ends up getting mixed up in her crazy life through kind of no fault of their own. And that might be a good sort of audience surrogate for those maybe, because I think with these shows they have to take it from the point of view as we know some of the people that watch this will not have watched the Clone Wars or Rebels.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they have to go into all these shows knowing that. So so that might be an audience surrogate, if you like, to help us kind of learn what's going on. That's just my guess.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I think it's a pilot or maybe like a bounty hunter that knows some underworld stuff that maybe Ahsoka is not privy to get, more information to find Thrawn. Maybe it could be somebody that was ex-Imperial that, was part of the Empire and then broke away and is helping her continue to find these little pockets of remnants of the Empire that's still following Thrawn. That kind of aspect of it.
Yeah. We'll have to wait, but like we said, we're pretty happy with the Ezra stuff as far as everything, unless something tragic would happen. God forbid. That being said, guys, I think it's time we take a quick word from our sponsors over at Grow Generation. So hold on. Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation offers the best deals and discounts on the best grow products on the market. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the episode, and I don't know why I left up the browser, but we kind of touched on the Andy Serkis thing for a bit for Andor, so I don't really think we need to go into that one too much. Yeah. Just kind of wanted to ask Shockey, man, it's been a while since you were here on the show. What other Star Wars stories and things have you kind of been itching to get your opinion on the last few weeks, man? Or what have you been doing that's Star Wars related?
I mean, trying to keep my ear to the ground and hear what's going on. It seems that luckily the worker strike or extra strike, writer strike did not happen. I know that there was some possible delays with the Star Wars projects and other projects as well. The goal is to, after Mando, is to start off with Ahsoka for the series. Rogue Squadron is supposed to be kicking off, and pretty much there was a little tension there, which I can imagine with other studios, with the strike about to happen, or it was imminent. It did not. So things seem to be going, full sail ahead. The Anakin, to kind of go back to the Anakin point. So this goes back to a little bit way back when we broke the news about Hayden Christensen being in Kenobi. The part of the story that I kind of kept to myself for a while, because I didn't really believe it at first, but now it seems to be somewhat, coming to fruition, was that, Hayden Christensen, when he negotiated his deal, I was told it was not just for Kenobi, it was for multiple projects to come back, and that, Lucasfilm would open the door. And it kind of tied into the Rise of Skywalker, where there was these stories came out that Hayden Christensen was on set and filmed a scene, but then they didn't use it in Rise of Skywalker as a Force Ghost. What I was told was that Disney and maybe Lucasfilm too, Kathleen Kennedy, didn't want to waste maybe one of the projects that they had signed for Hayden Christensen to use. So we definitely know Kenobi. We now know Ahsoka. He's going to be. What is that other project? Is I'm assuming there's got to be a third project if you're going to sign him on. I wonder if they have anything ready available, to go into, or if they're just going to kind of leave it as is and wait and to see after Ahsoka if there's something else that he could reprise.
In terms of the ones that are out there just now, Andor wouldn't really make much sense because Vader would be in the suit the whole time. You really don't need Hayden, as we've talked about before, for just Vader appearing on screen.
Right.
The Acolyte you can rule out because it's supposed to be set long before Anakin was even born, so that doesn't make any sense either.
Prophecies, they could be looking into the future. I mean, that's legit. You could see some sort of Force ghosting.
Wouldn't be a very
prophecy.
Would that be worth bringing him back?
I couldn't watch a whole movie with him being in a Force Ghost type deal.
No, not that
well,
either.
Who knows then? I mean, it doesn't leave us much else that's confirmed.
Yeah. Somebody I was talking to, it was interesting, their theory, which with Ahsoka being they're dabbling with the world between worlds. So if we go back to Rebels, Ahsoka is pulled out of this, the moment of time where she was about to be go to her death with Vader, and so supposedly dies, but then comes back into it. What if in this section of Ahsoka is that, what if Anakin is pulled out of the timeline and then put back in a separate timeline type deal, like in a separate story arc and stuff? That's what one person was thinking. Yeah, I don't think it will work, but that's what they're like. Because if you think about it, we've got Anakin's entire life pretty much mapped out already. Like there's not a window where it's like, oh, what happened here? Because the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith basically take care of that. Clone Wars animated series takes care of that time frame.
I've got one for you. What about a Luke in Grogu's live action series where he turns up quite often as a guide and a Force ghost?
To Luke,
please, God, no, please.
Then it wouldn't make sense with it wouldn't make sense with
you
Rise
were
of
up for
Skywalker
a
and
Luke
Last
in
Jedi.
Grogu show?
No, yeah, but not with Christensen showing up as a ghost all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all the time, but he could.
You just said all the time.
Occasionally. Well, I mean, you expect that as Luke would move through, he would have chats with various ghosts at different times, because that's one of the benefits he has that no other Jedi really before him did have, did they?
Bad. Doesn't all of this water down Return of the Jedi, though, by doing anything with him? Does it not just continue to piss all over what George Lucas started to begin with?
No, well, I mean, Anakin's arc still his arc.
Yeah, it's still that's what it is trying to find the spot.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not into the whole world between worlds changes. I wouldn't like to see that. I mean, I don't know where he could show up next. I really don't. I mean, I would be up for watching a Darth Vader focused series, but I don't think that.
You don't need Hayden Christensen for that.
You don't think you necessarily need him for that.
They already filled in so much with the comic books too.
Yeah,
So
I've kinda done
Well, the
that.
comic books, I mean,
convoluted is all fuck themselves. So
the comic books are comic books. You can always go. I mean, Marvel's basically has shown that you take what you like from the comic books and you move forward from it.
Pablo Hidalgo said it himself. The canon's whatever it needs to be. If I need it to be whatever, it'll be that. Yeah, fuck you. Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, that's just if there is one more project, it would be like what could he come into? Because I mean, you pretty much nailed it with Kenobi and Ahsoka. There's not another time frame, unless they want to,
unless maybe one of the climaxes to this whole Filoni thing.
Right.
I mean, if Ahsoka's still around, that could, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be like where he's pulled out of the timeline, kind of Back to the Futurist, goes and saves the world, and then goes right back into his timeline type deal. Marty McFly.
Oh, that would be.
I would hate that because his character would be fundamentally different in that.
Exactly.
It would become a what? It would become a what
if
if story.
If
If Anakin had just stayed good, and it's almost like that. Did you ever read that comic where Anakin comes back to the good side, but he doesn't die?
Well, that's the other thing. What if they do the what if?
Like that, and he's wearing a Darth Vader costume, but it's all in white. He's like, I'm a good guy now. You're like, what? So you needed to change your costume from black to white because you're a good guy? That pissed me off big time.
Right, but so remember the kind of the rumor mills or whatever about the what if production, for Star Wars, trying to do that. What if they do the Star Wars what if, but it's actually live action and it's Anakin, not going to the dark side.
I mean, if it was done just as a what if story, but how would you? I mean, Marvel's got a great way of building how a multiverse story could work. One,
correct,
by making the animation, they kind of separate it just enough.
Just a little bit, right? I get you.
Two, it's already built into the comics that there is a multiverse. The Watcher's a great window into that, and that existed in the comics. How would you do that?
I don't know.
How would you connect it all together like they do?
Listen, Disney will figure it out. They know that now that like Hayden Christensen's popularity is through the roof right now. Like he went,
but then that's not necessarily a good thing. So you don't just like, hey, Hayden Christensen's popular just now. Let's greenlight 5 things with him in it, because as we've just discussed, it's actually really difficult, and we're 3 fans of Star Wars, and neither of us can find a suitable third place
because it's not
jump into.
That's where they call Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's the one who's going to figure that stuff out. Like, what's the issue? What's it? Okay, all right, okay. Give me 20 minutes, and I'll be right back with you.
Well, he's good, but I don't know if he's that good.
I mean, shit.
Feige got Amy Pascal to admit that they were delivering trash to Spider-Man fans. That's right, guys. By the Amazing Spider-Man, her own words, she was giving you nothing and going down roads that they shouldn't have gone down.
The Amazing Spider-Man was more. Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield was more dedicated to the comic book storyline than any other Marvel movie storyline that they have. So
anyways, we'll not agree or anything. We'll just fight to the death later on that. And I just want to remind everyone that they wanted a Aunt May's super spy movie out of that too. So Sony house of ideas. I do want to ask that I brought the point up kind of earlier about how many people attach all of their Clone Wars experience to the prequel trilogy itself, right? Do you guys not kind of feel like, isn't it kind of crappy that those movies get lauded as good based off of the backs of the animation team, the writer and voice actors? Because let's face it, the writing in the prequel trilogy is not great, which means that not even Ewan McGregor could do a lot with it. So
exactly,
is it not kind of unfair to give? I mean, it's Christensen. I haven't seen
what
him in
you're
much,
saying,
and what I've seen
they're
him in
using
is
the writer
not
of those
amazing.
cartoons to write these live action shows. Remember, so they've got Filoni and said,
I know.
"Yeah, you're doing a good job. Let's come into live action now."
Yeah.
So the voice actor is a different thing, because I think it's 90%.
That's why I brought up his acting, his acting.
It's 90% the script, so he might not be the most wonderful actor, but he's been okay in other things. And if
none
you
of them
write
have knocked me away, though. None of them have even been.
But
like,
you have a
it's just okay.
That's
a bit, but I did like Jumper. Like I legit like
what's wrong
Jumper.
with the prequels is the people that were in it, and it's not what's wrong with the prequels
all,
is the guy
all
who
of it.
controlled it.
It's all of it. It's all of it. Because like I said, despite liking Jumper, I still didn't think he was much of a wonderful actor, and it passable. It was a passable movie, though.
There's
but
probably tons of actors that aren't that amazing that are in Star Wars. To be perfectly honest with you, it's not. You don't have to quite be Oscar winning to get by.
But the role has to be. That's true about Luke. 100%. Hamill is an amazing voice actor with some incredible talent, but when you see him on screen, it's a little different compared to Luke. I can see that point. Yeah, like I said, I'm not against it in anything in such a way to where it's like no. It's just like, man, I feel like I'm having to get into Star Wars for a fourth time. Like I said, what was the OT Lightning in a bottle, guys? I mean, literally, you make a prequel trilogy, and you have to make stuff to make it better, and then you make a sequel trilogy, and you're making stuff to make it better. And not only that, but you're reaching in and grabbing stuff from an erased EU to make it better. Is it possible to do from scratch a Star Wars trilogy well?
I mean, because
I think
so, at the end of the day, the universe itself is just a sandbox.
Right.
Look
at Mandalorian.
But it's directly connected to and borrowing from. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Something from scratch.
I mean, you're still going to be playing with the sandbox. It's like if you. I mean, it's like the taking any series and just doing another film set in that universe. It doesn't. Most. What am I trying to say? The world building is good enough in Star Wars that as long as you don't fuck with the kind of rules of the universe too much, you can kind of play with any genre you want and any story you want. So ultimately, it comes down to who's got a good idea for a story, who's got a good pitch, and I mean a pitch for a trilogy.
Right.
I think it's comparable to like the James Bond franchise, right? You have your different actors who have played James Bond. It's still the same universe, still the same concept of there. Everyone has their favorite, right? You have the old school fans, Sean Connery. Then you had the Roger Moore fans, and then Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and now the younger generation, is more of a Daniel Craig fan. But if you talk to a lot of the old James Bond fans, they don't like Daniel Craig because James Bond is not what Daniel Craig was like Jason Bourne, the hand-to-hand combat and stuff like that. James Bond was a sleek guy who could work his way out of everything with gadgets and stuff. I think that's like that with Star Wars, right? You and I and Cam are from the original trilogy era, so we've seen everything. We're like the original James Bond with Sean Connery and seeing all the interpretation of it and saying, it's still not good as Sean Connery style, but you still enjoy some parts of it. But the 20-year-old people, that are around now, those are your Phantom Menace fans, prequel trilogy fans that they didn't grow up on the original trilogy. They started first with, the prequels and the Clone Wars era. And then we got to understand too is that movies have transitioned a lot where Lucas is the first one to kind of create a universe in film, but also keep it going with television and keep the story arc going the same. And that started a whole new. You look at Marvel copying the same concept, where you have the movie universe and then you have the TV universe, where they try to do it with the Netflix series. They did it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they try to put it all together. Is it great? No, it depends on who you're the fan of and stuff. The sequel trilogy, it's its own mess with it. I get you on that, but there's the young generation that enjoys it, and but can you start something from scratch and call it Star Wars? I think that's what we're going to see with. I think we saw that with Mandalorian season 1. I think we're going to see that with The Acolyte. I think we're going to see that with Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, because everything I've heard about it is that those are on a different playing field or different level when it comes to Star Wars. Anything Filoni is attached to, you're staying with the core George Lucas original trilogy, Skywalker saga universe, right? Mm-hmm. All these other projects that are going on in Disney with other directors coming in, you keep talking how you want to see something different, you're gonna get it. You just gotta wait a little bit longer for it.
So thank you for proving my exact point. Mm-hmm. The original trilogy was indeed lightning in a bottle, because everything you're mentioning is not a new trilogy, and Disney immediately after both of their Disney and Lucasfilm, after their last two trilogies, spent a lot of time on fixing those trilogies immediately for old fans and new. So yeah. Like that was the point I was getting to.
I don't think Lucas, but when Lucas created the Clone Wars animated series, that wasn't to fix the prequel trilogy. He already he was already working on the animated series during the actual Clone Wars production, and it wasn't because of the backlash of it. He wanted to bring Star Wars to television. That was his ultimate goal. He wanted to do live action for the longest time, but he couldn't find the budget and the technology to go with it. So then he went and recruited the best of the best for animation and to do the Clone Wars. So what Disney's doing, yeah, you're right. They are trying to fix a problem that they created with the sequel trilogy. But to go to the prequels and what Lucas was doing with the Clone Wars, that I know it's a different concept there, because Lucas already had the animated series ready to go, lined up when he always wanted to go television, and the only way he wanted to do it, and so the Clone Wars was his baby, because the Clone Wars was his kind of his story to bring to television. He knew that was going to be it, and that was interviews you hear back in the 90s, mm-hmm. when he said, when we bring Star Wars to television, the focus will be on the Clone Wars.
But who was the writer, the primary writing group and writer for that?
Lucas
wrote
first 3 seasons. First 3 seasons, it was all his storylines, and then he let Filoni take over season 4 and 5, and that's when it's 4.
And that's where
that's when it get better.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, seasons 1, 2, and 3 are.
What you said, Mike, is right. It's Lucas's plan, but let's not forget. Lucas gave us Jar Jar, and he gave us Roger battle bots. Filoni came in, and other people, the same ones that watched Lucas pick the young kid. I'm not gonna knock him because he had issues, but the young kid for Anakin, and everyone in the room's like, oh my God, George, you what the fuck? They didn't say it to him, and so yeah, you've got people in Lucasfilm and Filoni chomping at the bit to get in there and do it better.
Well,
and Cam said it.
Filoni was recruited, and so Filoni was working on Avatar and SpongeBob SquarePants, mm-hmm. and Lucas recruited Filoni because he liked what he was doing, which is amazing how he was able to pick that, working on it, and brought him in, and basically taught him how to do, storylines and stuff, and basically, explain how his interpretation of the Force, and Filoni would say everything he does, storyline and stuff like that, is straight from Lucas, and Lucas approves of all the stories too, and he'll come in and say, you got to do this, you got to do this, everything with animated.
Yeah, but Lucas was always a good idea, man. What
exactly.
He wasn't good is writing it on the page, and
that's
Filoni
it.
seemed
That's
it.
All right, but yeah, I mean, we can go back and forth and all that. So
anyway, you guys are right,
yeah.
and that was just kind of my point. It's
possible
annoying
to do lightning in the bottle again in that sandbox. I
Right.
mean, for all
Yes.
you know, Taika Waititi's movie could actually be the first of a trilogy, and he's just not announced that
maybe.
yet.
Correct,
Or
yeah.
Feige's could be, and they've not announced it yet. But
it's gotta be
maybe
different. I
wanna see
it's not to do any more trilogies, but at some point they will do a trilogy, and then
And
it's just.
I want
it'll be
Taika
judged by its own
Waititi's to
merits.
be a trilogy about the B-1 battle droids, and just hear Roger the entire time. He would make it amazing.
And they just spin lightsabers.
Oh
around.
god! And they just dude, that corridor crew and their little to the death video is very good.
Yes, it is.
Anyways, guys, we need to go ahead and wrap
I
this
gotta hop off
episode
here, so.
up. So, all right, Shockey, his information's down below.
Yep.
Cam and I will finish wrapping
All
it up.
I'll see you guys later.
Yep,
See you,
appreciate
Shockey.
it. Make sure
Thank you.
everyone's checking out lrmonline.com and genreverse.com. Get those bookmarked. Genreverse will be getting its podcast pages up soon. We're working on migrating some feeds and things like that. I think most of that's probably going to happen towards the new year, but we'll keep you posted. But the links are live. YouTube channel, LRM Online's YouTube channel, lots of great things going up there. Celebrity interviews out the ass. I always like saying that for some reason. It's an army thing, I guess. But yeah, guys, a lot of things going up. Geez, Christina and I did a trade. You guys really like the Wheel of Time. Cam, we're going to be doing a Wheel of Time podcast, aren't we?
Yeah. I think we're going to call
Go
it
ahead.
The Dragon Reviewed, because we're going to review the episodes as we're going along and talk about the show, because Kyle and Christine have never read the books.
Nope.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, so we got a lot of content there, everyone, and of course our Genreverse podcast network and audio format for those that don't want to watch a video while driving, which is a very smart thing to avoid.
Yep.
We have all of those available wherever you get your podcasts from. The Daily Genre covers everything in news, anime-versal reviews. This weekend we're doing Helsing 2001 version for Halloween. Breaking Geek Radio's a long format, deep talk podcast each week. The Cantina, Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, all sorts of great things, guys. Check it all out. Yeah, Cam, you got anything else you want to say or plug or anything, man?
No, not at all. Not at all. You've covered it all. Thank you.
Great. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week, and until next time, may the Force be with you.